For this next demonstration, we are going to add in the horizontal bracing and vertical bracing. To add in the horizontal bracing, let's open up your model. And as that is loading up, look at your sheet S2 at your floor framing plan. So we will open up in your model elevation 1 plan view 112'0". And as you can see, we still have the construction lines from the previous stuff we put in. The construction lines do not disappear. So let's get rid of some of them to clear up the model here a little bit. So again, your model, your construction lines, erase all, or your CX. Erase all, yes. And let's zoom in here a little bit. And between grid lines 1 and 2 and C and the beam just to the west of grid line B is where we want to add in that horizontal bracing. So to add in the horizontal bracing, we need some points to pick. Let's do construction line add, and then base it off a construction line here. So from grid line 1 to 2 is from 1 towards 2, it's 9'0" to the point we want to pick. So it's base off from 1, 9'0", and then add. And then since we don't have a construction line here at this 12 by 26, we can do base off a member line and highlight the member here, and we can hit 0 and it puts in that construction line. Now we have our points to pick. Let's do member add and select our arrow here, and this icon here is member add horizontal brace. And the first point we're going to pick is at grid line 1 and just north of B.7. Our second point is at the midpoint of the 12 by 26 at grid line C. And your horizontal brace edit window comes up. So for our section size, we are going to pick an L 3 by 3 by 1/4. So for horizontal bracing, we're going to put in that size. Again, piece mark, we leave it. Other options here we're going to leave as is. Here's an option for double material if it's 2 angles back to back, and so on. In our case, it's a single angle. One option we have to change here is the side of gusset that the angle is on. So in our case, on our drawings, you can see the angle toe location indicator, and it's got a dashed line on it to represent the other leg of the angle, and it is dashed, so it means it's pointing down. So the side of the gusset would be the far side, so we'll leave that as far side. And minimum gusset plate thickness we'll leave as auto. Then your elevation. Your elevation, you can see on your plan views it says 111'6". So let's change that to 111'6". If you want to type it in here again, otherwise if you like using your copy and paste, Control C, highlight that, Control C, highlight this, Control V for paste. Input connection type, horizontal brace plate. Or you can leave it on plan or user find. In this case, we're going to leave it on horizontal brace plate. On the beams, we had on auto. There is no auto for this, so horizontal brace plate is the option we want. And then your loads, we're going to leave on auto. So hit OK. And then over here, the other side of that brace, we'll go from intersection there to intersection here. Again, we're at 112, so it pulls that back up here, but again, I can hit my Control V and Control V to copy my previous elevation in. Same size angle, same horizontal brace plate, and loads and on auto. So we have added in the horizontal bracing on sheet S2. Now for vertical bracing, let's go to sheet S3, and we have some vertical bracing at grid line 1. So in your model, let's return out that command, and then your model, let's open up grid line 1. And on grid line 1, between grid line B and C, and from elevation 99.4 to 112, we have some bracing. So to put in that bracing, you can see on your drawings from 99.4 up 8 inches, there's a dimension 8 inches up from 99.4 at grid line B for the work point of that bracing. So my work point elevation, 99.4 plus 8, is 100. Well, I already have my plan view at 100 in here, so that is going to be my intersection of my bracing. At the top end of that brace, that WT4 by 15.5, you can see a dimension of negative 10.5 from the top of the beam. So let's go construction line, add, base off a member line, highlight the beam, and say negative, because we're going to go down on this from that point, negative 10.5, and exit out there. So now I've defined that point. So now we can add in that brace. So return out that command, go to our member add icon, and here is member add vertical brace. So again, the bottom here of my bracing is 99.4 plus 8, 100 foot, so intersection there at B, and then I need to go to the intersection of C and that negative 10.5 dimension here and put that brace in. My end elevations come in from my 2 points picked. My size, let's change the size up on the top of your screen, your section size, to WT4 by 15.5. Piece mark leave alone, steel grade 992 should pop up when you click on that. And since it's a WT, there's a stem orientation. The stem, as you can see on your drawing, says stem horizontal. So stem orientation horizontal is correct. Side of gusset. Your drawings are hard to tell from that view, but if you look at your isometric view on your first sheet ISO, your stem on that one is actually far side. It's hard to see on this view, but it is on the far side. And for this course it doesn't matter, but let's do stem orientation horizontal and side of gusset far side. Again, your elevations are correct. Your connection type, again, there is no auto standard. Your options are plain and vertical plate, brace plate, or welded, leave it on vertical brace plate. And your loads, leave on auto for the tension load. So we'll hit OK, and that added in your vertical brace. Now again, I was still on my command trying to use my pan, and I accidentally added in another member. So right click to exit out there, cross over that member, hit delete on your keyboard, and delete that member out. Now with my middle button, now my pan is active, I can pan over and then scroll back in. same grid line 1, there's some bracing up here on the upper part. So we need to add in a few more construction lines. So construction line add. On the bottom, and we already have that line in down 10.5, but up on top, we need to add a construction line off the top of this 14, sloping 14 by 26. So we'll highlight that using our base off construction member, and your drawings say it's down -7. So we'll do add, and then X out there. And now I have my point location here at down -7, off from the top of that sloping member. So now we can add in some bracing. This bracing here is angle bracing, and one of the braces is going to go completely through from top to bottom. The other one's going to intersect. So in this case here, let's right click and return out of here, go back to your construction line command and do intersection of construction line. We'll pick this work point here. When we put on our brace, we're going to pick this point here, and intersection again. We're going to pick this point up here for that first brace. That's going to be the one that goes all the way through. And then this one here is going to go from this intersection to this intersection right here, down that 10.5. So that defines our bracing that we're going to put in there. Now let's put in the brace. The vertical brace is active. Intersection to intersection here. The size is a L6 by 6 by 5/16. And piece mark's okay. Section steel grade A36. And here you can see again, it's an angle if we have the option of double material, but here it doesn't say 2 angles, it's just a single angle. The side of gusset plate is far side, so we'll leave it as far side. The elevations, again, it pulls from the points you picked. Vertical brace plate, auto standard for load, hit OK. Now this next brace, the reason for putting on construction lines is so we have points to pick. So here we're going to go from intersection here again to intersection, and you can see as I go here it's trying to snap to a couple different spots. So we need to make sure we pick the right spot here. And the construction line we have in there is this one here. So I don't want to pick there because that's not going to the correct spot. Here is the intersection we put in. And the angle is good. Still far side. Elevations are good. Connection type's good. Loads are good. So then we go from intersection here and to the intersection here and hit OK again. Right click to return all that command, and we have added in that vertical bracing. So now we'll go to grid line 2, open up 2, and let's add in the bracing at that elevation. Let's go CX for erasing the construction lines. Let's add in some construction lines. Base it off from a construction line here, grid line B. Let's go 6'0". And then the beam is 16 by 36, so it's down based off from that top of that beam, -8. And then at the top of this 14 by 26, we're going to have bracing up there again. So let's do based off a construction, or base it off from a member line here. So pick that member, base it off that member, -7. and right click to return all there. Let's add in the bottom bracing first. Let's go member add vertical brace. Intersection here, which is 100, and that is the work point again for this bracing. To the intersection here. The size is a L4 by 4 by 3/8. In this case here, you can see a 2 in front of it. So here's where you get to the double material box. You check that box. And now as soon as you check that box, you can see side of gusset, far side. That disappears because now there's one on each side. But you do get another option, back to back or star configuration. Our case is back to back. Star configuration puts one up and one down, one near side, one far side, so it's not back to back. So we'll leave the rest of it as is. Again, the elevations come in correct. Vertical brace plate, auto standard loads. We'll put in the other side from top to bottom. Hit OK. Everything stays the same. I'm going to scroll out a little bit and then scroll back in. Now my next one, on the top, the previous ones we had them crossing, but they're both near side or both far side. Here one brace is near side, one brace is far side, so they'll cross across each other without colliding. So here we're going to go from the bottom here intersection to the intersection here. And this bracing is a 6 by 4 by 5/16, L6 by 4 by 5/16. Now, E36 is still good. Now, since it's an unequal leg, the previous ones were equal legs, 6 by 6 or 4 by 4. Here we've got a 6 by 4. The long leg on this bracing is vertical. So the long leg is to the gusset, up against the gusset. Now it's a single angle, so it turn off the double, and then it's asking for side of gusset. So this one here, kind of hard to see on your drawings, but there's a dashed line representing the far side and leg, so it is on the far side. And again, auto elevations are good, vertical brace plate is good, auto for load. The other brace, intersection at the top to intersection down here, scroll in, make sure we get the intersection here, the correct spot. And same angle, but this time for the side of gusset we want to put near side. Otherwise the two braces would be on the same side of the gusset plate and they would collide with each other, interfere with each other. So hit OK. Right click to return all that command, and as you scroll in here you can see a solid line that's indicating the legs pointing towards you. This one here's a dash line, legs pointing away from you, so you can tell that they're one's on each side of the gusset plate. They will not collide. The final vertical bracing is on grid line A, so if you flip to S4 and open up in your model grid line A, again we'll add in some construction lines, so we'll do construction line add, basin off from a member, or you can base it off a construction line on grid line 1. We'll base it off from there and go 14 foot 0. Base it off from the beam at 112 foot 0, or you can base it off construction line here again, and that is going to be down -9 for that work point. And then at the top we'll base it off from a member, and off that top of that 16 by 26 we're going to come down -8, and that defines our work points. So we'll do member add vertical brace, and we're going to pick intersection here to intersection here, And this bracing is a HSS 4 by 4 by a quarter. Now for horizontal, or for HSS sections, hollow sections, the steel grade pops up for you automatically. It's A500B. And all this information here is grayed out because there's no, it's a square, so there's no long side. You can't double up the material. Elevations come in correct. Vertical brace plate is good. And loads on auto. And we'll pick the bottom here, back up to the top here. Hit OK. And we have added in that vertical bracing. So the last ones to add in are, there's two little braces below that beam. So let's do construction line, add. And from the top of this beam, basing off the top of this beam at 112, we're going to go down -4 foot 0 according to your, or no, -4 foot 9 according to your elevation view. And then that bracing is in at a 45-degree angle. So you can go construction line, add. Let's do intersection of construction line. So the point where them two intersect there. And then here's where you can use your angle icon up here, locate icon. You just select that to highlight it, and then you left click to locate. It's going to ask you for the angle to draw that construction line. So we'll say 45 degrees from 0, which is horizontal, up 45, and it draws that construction line in. We can hit locate over here, and then the second point locate again, and it's going to ask for the angle. Here we can say -45, and OK, and it draws that one in. So we'll exit out of there. Now we can add in them vertical braces. So zooming in here, intersection there to intersection here. That's at the 45 and down that -9. Defines our two work points for our brace. And we're going to put in L3 by 3 by a quarter. My grade changes back to A36, which is correct. Double material, I want double material. And I want them back to back, is correct. My elevations are good. Connection type is good. And my loads are good. Scroll out of there. And over here, I'm going to go from that intersection to that intersection. And good. Okay. Right click to return. And that is the last of the vertical bracing.